Born in the Valencian town of Játiva in 1591, Giuseppe de Ribera moved to Naples in 1616, settling into the artistic scene of that city, which at the time was under Spanish rule. There he adopted an intensely naturalistic and tenebrous style, influenced by Caravaggio and by the Spanish Neapolitan Baroque tradition, becoming one of the most outstanding painters of his era. In 1631, Ribera painted the work now known as Magdalena Ventura with her husband, an oil on canvas measuring approximately 196 by 127 centimeters. The painting, commissioned by Fernando Afán de Ribera, Duke of Alcalá, Viceroy of Naples, and a regular patron of Ribera, arose from a Baroque curiosity for collecting, portraying the extraordinary, that which escaped ordinary visual canons. The Duke, having learned that there was a bearded woman in the region of the Abruzzi in Italy, invited this woman and her husband to Naples so that Ribera could paint her. The woman portrayed is Magdalena Ventura, born in Accumoli, in the Abruzzo region, who, according to the inscription on the painting, was 52 years old when portrayed and had begun to grow beard and hair as signs of masculinization at 37. In the painting she stands erect, holding a child, while her husband stands behind her, in shadow, and to the right appears a stone tablet with Latin inscriptions presenting her as a great miracle of nature, Magnum Natura Miraculum, and briefly describing her story. Visually, the work reveals a strong contrast. Magdalena occupies the foreground, intensely illuminated, with her dark beard, masculine feminine face, simple yet dignified dress, and the child at her breast. Her husband remains behind, almost in darkness, expressing resignation, or perhaps the shadow of a different personal story. The use of light and shadow, tenebrism, intensifies the emotion, while the scene feels more documentary than idealized. On the stone tablet, besides the inscription, appear two symbolic objects: a spindle, symbol of femininity and women's labor, and a snail shell interpreted as a symbol of hermaphroditism or gender ambiguity, already a provocative reading for the time. The painting offers several levels of interpretation that go beyond the merely descriptive. First, it stands as a visual testimony of what was considered in that era a natural wonder. The practice of depicting bearded women was linked to the Baroque taste for curiosities, exotica, and the rare, but Ribera does not stop at eccentricity. He gives the figure dignity, presence, humanity. According to some studies, he sought to reinforce her femininity, though bearded, through the bare breast, the act of nursing, of motherhood, in contrast to the beard and masculine appearance. This play of dualities, masculine-feminine, natural-artificial, monstrous-human, makes the painting something more than a curiosity portrait. It is a Baroque reflection on human nature, anomaly, identity, and the gaze of the other. As a modern article suggests, Magdalena Ventura can now be read as a gender-fluid hero of the 17th century. As for taboos and scandals, the painting was not conceived as a public outrage in its time, yet it carries that element of social strangeness. Portraying a bearded woman nursing was an act that broke iconographic and social conventions. The beard as a sign of masculinity, the fact of giving birth or nursing at 50, all defied expectations of gender, age, and body. Some historians have suggested that the work belonged to a gallery of monsters or wonders of nature displayed in European courts, implying that the gaze upon the subject alternated between admiration, exoticization, and the monstrous. The inscription itself makes clear that she was seen as something marvelous, which today can be read as an exoticizing gaze. In recent times, the painting has been reinterpreted as a meditation on bodies outside the norm, on gender identity, and on difference. Regarding its history of conservation, ownership, and restoration, the painting was commissioned around 1629 or 1630 and painted in February 1631. It later became part of the collection of the Duke of Medinaceli in Spain and is now housed in the Museo Nacional del Prado in Madrid, though the owning institution is the Fundación Casa Ducal de Medinaceli. Although there is no detailed public record of each restoration phase, The work has been carefully studied and its technique analyzed. It shows Ribera's use of dominant dark pigments, the realistic treatment of the figure, folds of the dress, skin texture, dense beard, which places it among the most documentary Baroque paintings. In terms of changing interpretations, in the Baroque period, the painting could be seen as a curiosity, a portrait of a marvel, fitting the taste for the rare. Today, reinterpretation turns it into a visual text about gender, body, identity, and normality. The modern gaze reads it as both critique and testimony of othered bodies in art history. What was once exoticism is now visibility, a body defying categories. The painting asks enduring questions. What does it mean to be a bearded woman? How does society define normal or abnormal? What role do the artists, the subjects, and the viewer's eyes play? There are hidden symbols, enriching the reading. As mentioned, the spindle and the shell suggest femininity and hermaphroditism. The infant's exposed breast reinforces Magdalena's maternity, counterbalancing her beard. The Latin inscription not only names and dates her, but legitimizes her as a wonder. The wording speaks of a mirabile monstrum, a marvelous miracle. These details imply that the painting was built for the gaze, for astonishment, and for reflection on the limits of nature. Artistically, it is one of Ribera's most peculiar yet most accomplished works. His mastery of chiaroscuro, his ability to grant presence to a figure usually condemned to ridicule, his visual dignity, all make the portrait transcend curiosity. As some specialists affirm, Ribera creates a painting entirely devoid of mockery, unlike other depictions of oddities of his era, giving it an unusual level of humanity. Ultimately, the painting's contemporary relevance is manifold. It stands at the crossroads of Baroque art, the history of collecting, the visuality of anomaly, gender and body studies, and the history of artistic perception. When a modern viewer faces the painting, they may feel surprise, discomfort, admiration, reflection. That mix is precisely what keeps the work alive more than 390 years later. In the deep halls of the Prado Museum, among shadows and golden light, rests one of the strangest, most human and moving portraits of all European Baroque art. Magdalena Ventura with her husband, also known as the Bearded Woman, painted in Naples by the Spaniard Giuseppe de Ribera in 1631. This work not only challenged the aesthetic canons of its time, but also the boundaries of what art dared to reveal. It is a testimony of what happens when a painter does not fear to look at what the world calls monstrous and transforms it into a symbol of dignity and mystery. Giuseppe de Ribera, nicknamed Lo Spagnoletto for his short stature and Valencian origin, was one of the great masters of Baroque naturalism. His life unfolded between Spain and Italy, and his art oscillated between light and darkness, devotion and the macabre. In Naples, under Spanish rule, he found the ideal setting for his tenebrous style inherited from Caravaggio. There he portrayed martyrs, philosophers, beggars, and saints, with a rawness that transcended religious painting. He sought in every face the truth of existence, but nothing prepared him for the challenge of representing Magdalena Ventura, a bearded woman who, far from being an object of mockery, would be elevated to the rank of natural and spiritual prodigy. The story tells that Fernando Afán de Ribera, Duke of Alcalá and Viceroy of Naples, heard of a remarkable woman living in the Abruzzi, a wife and mother who, from the age of 37, began to grow a beard and masculine features without losing her fertility. Fascinated by the rarity, the Duke invited her and her husband to Naples to be painted by the best artist of his court. Magdalena Ventura was 52 when she posed for Ribera. She did so with her infant in her arms, nursing him, while her husband lingered in shadow, observing. Behind them, a carved stone slab in Latin recounts her story and names her a great miracle of nature. The painting, nearly 2 meters tall and over 1 meter wide, was conceived not as mockery, but as documentation. Yet Ribera achieved something far deeper than a chronicle of rarity. He turned the non-normative body into an emblem of strength and truth. Light falls upon Magdalena's face as if she were a carnal saint, a virgin of flesh and beard. Her gaze seeks not pity, but affirmation. Her hands hold the child firmly, a symbol of her maternal power. The thick beard, the dark hair, and the bare breast form a contrast that disarms every expectation. Masculine and feminine coexist in sacred balance. Her husband, by contrast, is reduced to an almost spectral companion. He is there, yet secondary, symbolic. His aged face and withdrawn posture present him more as witness than protagonist. Ribera thus reverses traditional roles. The man remains in shadow, the woman occupies the center, illuminated and monumental. At a time when painting glorified idealized, flawless female bodies, this image was a silent revolution. The painting soon stirred whispers and astonishment. In the courts of the 17th century, marvels of nature were collected and displayed as treasures, proving the vastness of God's creation. European princes competed to gather beings or phenomena beyond the norm. Exotic animals conjoined twins, bearded women, prodigious children. But Ribera's portrait was different. There is no trace of the grotesque, only profound respect for the human mystery. Magdalena is not a spectacle to amuse, she is a figure to contemplate. On the slab behind her, besides the inscription, appear two objects that multiply symbolic readings. The spindle, traditional symbol of female labor, alludes to domestic virtue and cultural identity. Next to it, Ribera places a snail shell, emblem of ambiguity, duality, hermaphroditism. Together, they form an allegory of the equilibrium of opposites, male and female, spiritual and corporeal, visible and hidden. It was an intellectual provocation for an age that saw gender as an absolute frontier. Over the centuries, the painting has been reinterpreted with shifting sensibilities. In its time, it was seen as a scientific curiosity, worthy of study. In the 19th century as a morbid oddity, and in the 20th as a symbol of freedom and identity. Today, some art historians view Magdalena Ventura as an unwitting pioneer of gender dissidence, a figure embodying bodily diversity and defiance of imposed categories. What in 1631 was called a monster of nature is now read as a manifestation of the plural of humanity in all its forms. Artistically, Ribera demonstrates here his absolute command of chiaroscuro. Light from a lateral source bathes Magdalena in almost sculptural clarity while the background sinks into darkness. The contrast heightens the volume, the texture of skin, the density of the beard, the delicacy of the veil that partly covers her body. Every detail, the glint of the eye, the fold of the cloth, the hinted thread of milk, is executed with near anatomical precision. The painting becomes a meditation on flesh and soul, on imperfection as a form of truth. The material history of the work is equally fascinating. After its creation, it remained with the viceroy and later passed to the ducal house of Medinaceli in Spain, preserved for centuries in a private collection. In the 20th century, it was placed on loan to the Prado Museum, where it now hangs. Although no early restorations are recorded, modern studies have revealed that Ribera applied layers of pigment using a mixture of tempera and oil, achieving extraordinary depth. Its conservation state is excellent, thanks to its protection indoors from humidity and light. The philosophical message of the painting is as powerful as its technique. In the Baroque era, obsessed with divine order and hierarchy, Ribera dared to affirm that the extraordinary, too, is God's creation. The inscription calls her a miracle of nature, but the painting suggests something deeper, that the miracle is existence itself, that every human body is a mystery beyond classification. It is a declaration of empathy painted in a time when difference was marginalized. The power of the bearded woman lies in its ambiguity, at once portrait, scientific document, theological allegory, and meditation on identity. Her gaze challenges the viewer, who observes whom. Are we the ones studying her, or is she the one who undresses us with serenity? Magdalena Ventura, with beard and child, embodies the most human motherhood, that which transcends form to reach meaning. Ribera, whether consciously or not, created an eternal image of acceptance. The centuries have turned her into an icon. Today her figure is studied across art, biology, gender, and philosophy, displayed at the Prado. She evokes the same mixture of awe and reverence she inspired in the Viceroy of Naples. Her beard no longer scandalizes, her maternity no longer surprises, yet her presence still questions. The painting reminds us that beauty does not lie in perfection but in authenticity. If one stands before it in silence, one can feel what Ribera must have felt as he looked at her. The vertigo of the unknown, and the peace of realizing that the soul has no fixed form. The husband's shadow, the stone inscription, the nursing child, and the woman defying time form a composition that seems to breathe in suspended stillness. It is the portrait of a life that overcame judgment and oblivion.